Hello everyone, welcome to Motuts, Motion Made Easy. My name is John Navarro, and today we'll be focusing on a brand new title tutorial inspired by the John Carpenter movie, Escape from LA. We're dedicating this tutorial to John Carpenter because it's his birthday month. So happy birthday, John Carpenter. Thank you for all of the wonderful inspiration you've given us over the years. I love horror and sci-fi, and that's one of the main reasons why I'm such a fan of John Carpenter's work, is because he's brought us many amazing films in both genres. So today's tutorial is pretty straightforward, and we're going to be focusing on this specific segment of the actual title animation, which is when all of the different targeting segments come together and form the title. So let's get started. We're going to open up our motion application. We're going to set our settings. So we're going to set this to broadcast 1080. I want the frames per second to be set to 24. And I want to make sure I have motion project selected. Click open. Now inside the project window, of course, I want to reset the window to fit. And what I also want to do is I want to click on the project itself and go into the inspector window. Here I want to change some of the properties. I want this project to mirror what the actual film aspect ratio was. It was shot in anamorphic widescreen. So we're going to change the aspect ratio right here from square to NTSE anamorphic. And you'll see it stretches the screen out. So now this is going to be 1920 wide by 890 high. So that's anamorphic. Okay, so now that we've set that, let's just go in and start working on the different elements. So if we look at our title example, you'll see that we have different segments of the targeting system that come in from the corners, as well as the crosshairs that come in from the top and bottom, as well as the left and right. And then these close in on the main title. So what I want to do to help is I want to go into view. I want to select view grid. So we're going to create a couple groups here. I believe 4 groups. Okay, so the first group on the bottom, I want to be the title group. So I'm just going to rename that title. The next group I want to be the crosshairs. Next group here I want to be brackets that the crosshairs collapse on. And then the final group is going to be the actual targeting system, the corners. So we'll just call those corners. So now that we've created those, let's start on actually filling some of this stuff in. So click on the crosshairs group, and then we're just going to create some basic lines here. We want to start off screen, so Command minus to zoom out, and this is roughly centered. We're going to adjust these, so no worries. And you want to hold down Shift to make sure that the lines that you're creating, the lines that you're painting, are straight. So now we have our crosshairs. Now we're going to do this same process. So let's minimize this. We're going to do the same process to create the corner brackets. And if you look at our original example, there is also these kind of brackets that go around the crosshairs that surround the title. We're going to add that in this brackets column. So what we want to do here is we want to create a box. So we're going to create 2 boxes here. Let's move that up into the brackets and collapse the crosshairs. Okay, so now what we want to do is we just want to duplicate this and then drag it over. So I'm going to name this LB for left bracket and name this duplicate RB for right bracket. And then go into the properties, set this to 0 for the Y, and let's just drag this over. So now that we have those, we want to go into the actual shape parameters And in the shape parameters, we want to click outline and turn off the fill. We want to do that for both. There we go. So we want to convert this to points. So you're going to get an error message. You say yes, convert to points. And what that's going to do, it's going to allow us to create an open-ended bracket. You'll see what I'm saying right here. So right here where it says basic geometry closed, we're going to uncheck closed, and now you'll see that it's open, but it's open in the wrong direction, right? So easy way to fix that, we're going to select this here, and we're going to select that as the start point, and now you'll see it's flipped. I know it's hard to tell with the grid, but it's flipped. And go back into style, and we can start styling these and make these the neon green. Select the spring color, and we'll do the same thing here. Go into style and select the spring color, and then I want to go into geometry and convert to points. Yes, convert and open. So now you see you have those brackets, and then we can adjust these as we need to. For right now, we'll just leave that as is. This is just to show you as an example. So now we go up to the corners, and we're going to select the Bezier tool again, and we're going to create our corners. Now, we could do that separately 3 more times, or we could just duplicate the layer and rotate it. So that's what I'm going to do instead. So 1, 2, 3 duplicates. We're going to call this bottom one TL for top left. We're going to call this next one TR for top right. Call this one BL for bottom left, BR for bottom right. With this bottom right, we're going to go into the properties. We are going to rotate it 180 degrees, and we're going to drop this to -360, and we're going to push that to +682. Okay, so now if we just click here in the view and turn the grid off, we'll see we have our preliminary targeting system. Let's just change the colors of these other things over here. So go back to the crosshairs, select all, go into shape. I want to turn the fill off, and I want to change the color to spring. All right. Now, the other thing that I forgot to do, which we're going to go back here and we're going to correct, is that I forgot to change the geometry for the line. So in the style, we want this, instead of round, we want this to be square. So we're going to change the joint to square. We're going to change the start and end cap to square. We're going to do that for each of these. Again, just kind of a stylized thing, but you guys understand why. Do that housekeeping. Now you notice in the brackets, those are a little bit thin. So we want to go back into the style, and they're thin because the width doesn't match. It's only 2. So we want to make sure that both of those are set to 10 so that they match what we had before. We want to preserve the width and then change everything to square. Okay, so we're almost done. Other things we need to do to this, such as adding the goal kind of hash marks on here, which if we open up bracket, go to left bracket and turn our grid back on, really all we have to do is add another line. So let's just go in here, select line. So hold shift, click on the grid, drag up, and you have line. Duplicate that, and let's just go into the properties here. Just to make sure that's 0. L line for left. We'll call this copy. R line for right. Make sure that's 0, and make sure this is +478. Now let's go back into the shape. We want to double the thickness of the line here, so we're going to make this 20. Preserve the width, change the square. Let's also change the color. Okay, so now if we click out of that and we turn the grid off, now we have our targeting system. For the last part before we set up the animation is to create the title. So the font that we used for this title, we tried to find something that was similar to what John Carpenter used, which I think is a font called Albatross or Albertus, one of the other. That font isn't available for free, so we tried to find something that was very, very similar in a similar font family that was available for free, and I've included a link to that font below if you'd like to download it. So let's just click in this window. All right, let's center that. Let's go into properties. Let's reset this so that it's in the center. And then we're going to go back into the text and then let's find that font. Okay, so the font that I found that was similar is this font right here called Marcellus. This was the closest font that I could find. So we're going to increase the font size. All right, so you see now some stuff has gotten shifted out of order. So we're just going to readjust this stuff so that it fits, and then we'll start the animation. So now what we want to do is we want to readjust some of these elements here. So we want to go into the crosshairs, LC for left crosshair, RC for right crosshair, TC for top crosshair, and BC for bottom crosshair. So this left one, what we want to do is we want to make it shorter, and we'll go into the shape here. We'll go into the geometry and say minus 250, and we want this to be maybe not so long, so let's say 200. All right, so let's go right crosshair and same thing, fix this up. And then now we want to take this bracket because we want the right bracket and the right line to move together. Hold down shift and select, and then move this over. So as you can see, there's a lot of playing around that we have to do here just to get stuff right, but look good in the end. That looks pretty close. Let's go back in here and readjust the title position. So I want to go back to the anchor point and we'll say minus 50. Okay, so now we have our title. Now here's the final part, which is animating everything on. We want to select the project and we want to add a basic behavior to fade in and fade out. So that'll fade in and fade out our title. Boom, boom. Then what we want to do is we want to click the record button and we're going to start animating these other elements. So I want to turn the grid back on just so I can see everything that I'm doing here. I'm going to start with the crosshairs. Now, because these crosshairs were Bezier, all we have to do really is put a parameter behavior to them. So the parameter behavior we're going to set is going to be right on. So we're going to select the down arrow, go to shape, right on, and unselect record for a moment. If we play that back, and we want this to be roughly about a second and 12 frames. So we're going to hit O for out, and we want to select all of these. So hold down command and select, then hit O for out. For the right on behavior, you'll see about a second and a half for that to right on. Now we need the bracket to do the same thing. Okay, at the 1 second mark, set the playhead, click on the record button, and then we want to go into the brackets layer. We want to select those. So we create a keyframe for the brackets and the line, and then what we want to do is animate each one separately. So we're going to go back to this first one here, I'm going to select, and we're going to bring this all the way off. And we're going to do the same thing with the left. Click the record button to turn off the recording. And when we play that back, so now you'll see that this comes in at the same time as the left and right crosshair, and it's slightly, the timing is slightly off. Okay, so we don't want that. We want this to look like it's coming in at exactly the same moment. So what I want to do to correct this is actually I want to take the right on behaviors. We're going to delete the right on behaviors for the left and the right crosshairs, and we're going to bring those two crosshairs up to the brackets. So now what we're going to do is create a keyframe, at the 1 second mark. Then we're going to go to the beginning. We're going to select the right side, go to the X position, drag that to the right until it's completely off frame. And we're going to do the same thing with the left. Hold down Shift, select all the left side elements, then click the X position, drag to the left until that's completely off screen. And let's just watch the playback. This is coming on pretty consistent. There is something I'm noticing here. Looks like the bottom crosshair is taking a little bit longer to come on. So let's see what's going on here. Let's hit the O for out. There we go. Okay. So to the playback, boom, done. So now the final animation we have to do is for the corners. So again, let's turn on the record button. Put this to 1 second, select all of the corners, go into our parameter properties, create a keyframe for the position, and then I'm going to individually adjust the positions, these elements. Okay, now I'm noticing I can see the bars for the right bracket, so I guess I didn't pull those far enough back. So now, let's watch the playback. Boom. Everything comes on. Alright, so that's all set. That's it. So, thanks again for watching Motuts, Motion Made Easy. I'm John Navarro, and I hope you'll join us again next Monday for our Motion Mondays, where we'll be bringing you another exciting tutorial. Until then, take care.